What's up everybody, J.Lulo here, and today I want to talk to you guys about the new iPhone 13 Pro Max. Let's go.
Uploading.
Okay guys, we finally have a new iPhone 13, and let's start off by stating the obvious. This is not really a big redesign for an iPhone. This is typically what we would call the S series of iPhones. There's not really any big redesign besides the cameras. The cameras are bigger and the camera bump is bigger. So besides that, that's the only redesign that's obvious on this phone. It's the same exact design as last year's iPhone 12. The body is the same, the buttons are in the same position, the cameras are in the same position, but it's a bigger camera. It's bigger cameras altogether. It has 3 bigger cameras and a bigger camera bump. And also, new on this phone is a bigger battery for better battery life. And because of the bigger battery, this phone actually feels a little bit heavier than last year's phone, but there's a reason for that. Now that the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max have a 120 Hz refresh rate, screen with up to 1200 nits, it needs the bigger battery to be able to deal with these new features. This battery can last up to 2.5 hours longer than last year's model. And so what Apple did was to conserve more battery with this new 120 Hz display. What it does is that when you're scrolling up and down through your phone, or you're going through your phone and using your finger to scroll through things, what it does is when you're not using the speed of the 120 Hz, it can go all the way down to 10, so that way it can conserve more battery life and you're not overly using battery life because of how much it needs when you're on the 120 Hz display. And this new iPhone 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max is gonna be crucial to gamers with this new ProMotion display. While you're using this to play these games, and an added boost to the graphics card of this phone is gonna be that much more efficient when playing games with the 120 Hz display and the faster graphics cards with up to 50% faster graphics in this phone. This is gonna take gaming to the next level. For those of you who are gamers, this is really gonna change things up for you. This is gonna be a great addition to those of you who really like to do gaming on your phone. And Apple also claims this is the fastest graphics chip in any phone out there. So for you gamers, this is for you. And also with this new iPhone, we're gonna get a new A15 Bionic chip with a 6-core CPU, a 5-core GPU, and a 16-core neural engine for top performance and battery life. Of course, we still have the great notch on the top of the iPhone, but this year it is 20% smaller due to the fact that they moved the microphone that you use to listen to your phone calls up to the top edge of that phone so that they can shrink it down and compress the cameras for the Face ID and True Tone and FaceTime calls. All the cameras have been moved a little bit closer to make the notch 20% smaller. It's not gone, but it's smaller, and that's fine with me. I'm used to the notch. It doesn't bother me anymore. It's gonna be hard for Apple to kind of just remove it altogether because there's a lot of cameras. If you really look at the phone in a certain lighting, like right now, I can see there's sensors, there's cameras, it's gonna be hard to get that underneath and get the same kind of quality from the Face ID and the FaceTime camera that you get from these phones right now. So even if we have a notch, these cameras that are there in that notch are working the way that they need to work. Even if that notch is there, I would rather have the cameras working properly than to have to remove or put them under the display where you can't see it, and then you might have like glitches happening and the things won't work properly. Apple makes sure that these things work properly. Even if you're complaining about the camera notch, they work the way that they're supposed to work. If it's up to me, I'd keep the notch there as long as everything is working properly, the way it should be working. So, and of course, something else that people have been asking for a long time that we still don't have, and it's a mini USB-C charging port for the phone. We still have the Lightning. It's not going away. Apple's sticking to its guns. We're keeping the Lightning. That's all there is to it. Stop wanting USB-C. This is Apple's phone, okay? We don't need USB. I mean, they got USB-C in all the other devices. I mean, they could add it to the iPhone, right? But I mean, they're sticking to their gun. Maybe in the full redesign, you know, this is technically an iPhone 12s, right? Isn't that how things usually happen? You know, you get the 12 and the 12s. I mean, we've seen it since the 4, right? Isn't it the 4, the 4S, the 5, the 5S, the 6, the 6S, the 7, the 7S. I mean, we've been S-ing it all over the place since way back when in iPhones. Now all of a sudden it's 12 to 13. Now let's talk about what everybody buys a new phone for, especially their iPhones, the cameras. 3 new cameras, noticeably bigger cameras. I mean, these things are huge. And the reason they're big is because they have bigger sensors, they have bigger apertures. But these bigger cameras are basically what the driven point to the purchases of these phones these days. And so let's talk about all the great things that were added to these cameras. So we have 3 new cameras to be exact, starting with a new 77mm telephoto lens with a 3x zoom this year. And there's also a new ultra wide camera with autofocus now and a bigger 1.8 aperture for a 92% improvement in low light photography. There's also a new wide camera with a larger f1.5 aperture and an improved 1.9 microns for cleaner and richer photography altogether. There's also a new feature called cinematic mode, which maybe it's not gonna be for a lot of people, but if you can master it and use it, it's gonna be fun to use. It's this feature that basically people use in Hollywood movies. It's called focus racking. Of course, you're thinking, what is focus racking and what do I need it for? Well, it's not only for a small amount of people that don't need it, but there's people that use cell phones to make movies. There's people that are content creators that could be using this feature to make short films. This feature is used, and the fact that they can incorporate cinematic mode into a cell phone camera is amazing. I mean, you're able to make movies on a cell phone. Granted, you can make movies on a DSLR camera, and of course you're gonna be able to make movies on a cinematic camera, but think about that. Think about a DSLR camera and a cinematic camera. These things are super expensive. Not everybody needs it, and if you have it in your phone, why have to spend the money on these things? So take it for what it is and try it out. Don't knock it till you try it. It's amazing that this can happen on a cell phone. Now this is probably the feature that people are probably gonna use the most. And I gotta tell you, this is one of the features that attracted me to this phone the most. And like I said, this is one of the features. Now this is one of the features that's definitely gonna be a game changer for this phone, and this macro photography. If you don't know what macro photography is, it's when you get in super close, so close that you can get the fibers of any thread or any material or the tiniest bug or water droplet on a photograph and get a crisp, beautiful photo with macro photography. And now we have this on this new iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max. And I gotta tell you, I took it out and played with it for a little while, and I didn't want to stop. I was so excited about how great this feature was working. It is super fun. I mean, I got to try it out for a little while, and I have some examples I want to show you guys. And here are just some examples of what I did with the photos. Check it out. So apart from cinematic mode, macro mode, now they've incorporated ProRes. Now this is coming with a later update from Apple. ProRes is a super high quality feature that's used in almost all Hollywood cameras. And to be able to incorporate this into a cell phone is amazing. Well, that's it for me for today, guys. Thank you for watching. And if you like this video, please hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so that you can be notified every time I post a new video. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Peace. Get those thoughts out of your head about the notch. We might never see the notch go away. If it does, great. If it doesn't, as long as the things work the way it's supposed to work, I don't care. Keep the notch. Keep the notch. Keep it. Ain't nothing wrong with that notch. Okay, look. It's fine. It doesn't bother me.